let's get right into it. Today's explainer tackles a wild intersection of science, ethics, and theology. We're looking at how modern reproductive technologies have literally left our traditional moral frameworks in the dust. We'll be using a really fascinating lecture by Dr. James S. Spiegel to help us impartially map out the medical realities we're facing today and the philosophical lenses people use to actually make sense of them. To wrangle this massive topic, we're going to use a bit of a funnel approach. We'll start with defining the reproductive technologies, then look at secular and Christian frameworks, Protestant versus Catholic perspectives, the dilemmas of IVF, the ethics of surrogacy, and finally, a big question: blessing, burden, or entitlement. Section 1. Defining reproductive technologies. Now, before we can even begin to debate the ethics here, we kind of need to demystify the clinical alphabet soup of the procedures themselves. We start with IUI. You might know this by its older name, artificial insemination. This is really the baseline of modern medical intervention and procreation, where sperm is artificially inserted into the uterus. But as you'll see, the technology ramps up incredibly fast from here. Right, so things get much more complex when we move to interventions like GIFT, that's gamete intrafallopian transfer, and ZIFT, or zygote intrafallopian transfer. These literally move the miracle of conception out of the human body and into the laboratory. And with IVF, or in vitro fertilization, eggs are fertilized entirely in a petri dish before the resulting embryos are implanted back into the uterus. Section 2. Secular and Christian frameworks. So the absolutely crucial question is, how do we actually judge the morality of these technologies? From a secular standpoint, it usually boils down to one of two camps. You have utilitarians, who are purely focused on the outcome. They want to maximize happiness and pleasure for everyone involved: the parents, the future child, the whole shebang. On the flip side, Kantians look strictly at autonomy. They ask, are we respecting the people involved? And can this practice be universally applied without violating human dignity? Now, when we impartially look at the Christian framework, specifically the one mapped out by ethicist Scott Ray, we see a really nuanced balance. On one hand, medical technology is seen as a divine gift of human innovation, but that's heavily weighed against the strict sanctity of unborn life. In this view, children are a divine blessing, not a manufactured product. It even frames the pain of infertility as a trial of faith, pointing to adoption as this highly redemptive alternative. Section 3. Protestant versus Catholic perspectives. This is where things get super interesting historically. Dr. Spiegel points out a really surprising fact. Back in the early 1960s, up to 95% of evangelicals actually opposed the birth control pill. And to put that into perspective, he notes that the newly introduced bikini was also considered a massive public scandal at the time. It just perfectly shows how moral qualms tend to acclimate to culture and new technologies over time. You can really see that shift when you contrast the modern Protestant view, which generally came to accept a more flexible, separated view of sex and procreation, with the strict Roman Catholic tradition. The Catholic perspective holds that marital sex must always remain open to procreation, meaning technology can assist the natural act, for sure, but it can never entirely replace it. And obviously, that has massive, massive implications for laboratory procedures like IVF. Section 4. The dilemmas of IVF. Having mapped out the high-level theories, we really need to pivot to the messy, real-world financial and emotional stakes of in vitro fertilization. Because IVF costs tens of thousands of dollars, there's a huge financial incentive to create and extract multiple embryos just to ensure one successful pregnancy. But that leads to the ultimate ethical dilemma. What exactly happens to the leftovers? This is where theology hits reality head-on. Couples eventually have to choose between destroying the unused embryos, donating them, freezing them indefinitely in cold storage, or using them for experimental stem cell research. Now, for people who view those embryos as having full moral status and a fundamental right to life, literally every single one of those standard options is deeply, deeply fraught. To make this tangible, Dr. Spiegel shares this incredible anecdote from his own consulting. He worked with a young couple who, wanting to strictly follow their belief in the sanctity of life, made the decision to implant every single embryo they conceived. Think about that. They fully accepted the staggering risk of ending up with 15 or 16 kids. Now, it ultimately resulted in 4 children, but it's such a powerful illustration of someone taking an ethical conviction to its absolute logical conclusion. Section 5. The ethics of surrogacy. So, shifting gears, let's talk about the entirely different set of hurdles that pop up when a third party is introduced to carry the child. Now, surrogacy within families can absolutely be a generous gift, But the commercialization of it, that raises some intense concerns. Critics point out the risk of exploiting women, basically arguing that high payouts can turn babies into merchandise. On top of that, it introduces this really bizarre psychological dynamic where a traditional vice, a mother emotionally detaching from the baby she's carrying, suddenly becomes a required virtue so she can hand the child over. In some legal contexts, the terminology actually strips away the maternal connection entirely, referring to surrogate mothers as just human incubators. Section 6. Blessing, burden, or entitlement. For our final section, let's zoom all the way out and look at the underlying psychology driving our use of all these technologies today. Dr. Spiegel shares a pretty shocking anecdote about a woman at an abortion conference who actually compared an unplanned conception to a traffic accident. And that right there perfectly illustrates a major societal shift, moving toward viewing children not as a gift, but as an unwanted, inconvenient burden. So I want to end this explainer by turning the mirror back on us. As we navigate the unbelievable power of modern reproductive technology, do our choices reflect a belief that children are a divine blessing, an inconvenient burden, or simply an entitlement that we can just manufacture on demand? The attitudes we hold today will absolutely dictate how we wield the power of medicine tomorrow. It's a profound thought to chew on as you go about the rest of your day.